Hello, and welcome to the Taylor Seminars, where we talk about how Taylor Swift turns life into poetry. My name is Hannah. I'm here with my co host, Exquisite. Can you say hello?
Hello, Hannah.
It's so good to see you. And we are here to discuss track 6 of the Tortured Poets Department, But Daddy, I Love Him.
But Daddy, I love him. And it was so funny. When we saw this title, everybody was like, oh, like Little Mermaid. Like she got her voice. And technically it was Little Mermaid-ish, but not in the way that we thought.
No, definitely not. I mean, this song I think is the one where everyone's jaws kind of dropped if they had it
Yeah.
enough already.
Yeah.
Where we had this devastating track 5, So Long London, and then we have this song where she's screaming, I'm having his baby. And I just remember looking dead in my husband's face and both of us just being like, what did she just sing? And then being like, no, I'm not, but you should see your faces and
She played a prank on us.
just bust out laughing.
She pranked us. She was so like the whole song is so like tongue in cheek, but also she's so serious. She's like, hello.
It was just showing to me how she's at the peak of her artistic prowess in terms of storytelling, in terms of her voice sounding amazing,
Mm-hmm.
her taking such a interesting concept and elevating it. I love this song so much.
Oh, I love this song. It is so fun. It's so a lot of things. Like it's definitely just such a fun song. Especially because I was like, no, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense to me that she would write a song like this. It was about time.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say we'll probably spend a lot more time on the themes than the lyrics themselves. Who are we kidding? We're going to spend a lot of time on the lyrics too. But what are some things that stick out to you before we jump into the lyrics?
This is one of the songs where, oh my goodness, that was Rolling Thunder. That's for next week. Rolling Thunder. But they I forgot to say. Oh, okay, I remember. This is the song that is definitely the most I'm Taylor Swift. This is me. I'm a person. This is her claiming her autonomy. Yeah. Also, so autonomy, and then we have another A word, Americana. This was a song where I think it is the most obvious. I guess, well, one of the most obvious. It's not as clear in like a lot of people don't realize Down Bad is also super Americana. Um, so yeah, this song was super, super like Western vibes.
Yeah, I'm really also excited to talk about a lot of the religious imagery that we see
Yes.
in this song. And I think a lot of callbacks to a very famous Taylor Swift song, Love Story. And so
Mhm.
we'll get into all of that as we go through the lyrics. I have the booklet version. Do you have the booklet version too?
I also have the booklet version, and specifically the manuscript version, because I know in other ones it's different.
Oh, like like how she writes them?
Yeah,
Interesting.
for I know I feel like different lyrics are picked, and also the shape is different,
Oh yeah, so in this one she picks the lyric in a handwritten on the side, too high a horse for a simple girl to rise above it.
which is such a fun lyric.
And this song is written by Taylor Swift and Aaron Dessner, but we were looking at the production credits earlier. It's also produced by Jack Antonoff, although he didn't contribute to the writing, he did help
Yeah,
produce it. So
yeah. So
it's
it's joining
the
a
trio.
lot a rare air, rarefied air of
Yes.
songs all three of them have touched together at the
So
same time.
do you want me to read a little bit of it? I forget how the West was won. I forget if this was ever fun. I just learned these people only raise you to cage you. Sarah's and Hannah's in their Sunday best, clutching their pearls, sighing, what a mess. I just learned these people try and save you 'cause they hate you. Too high a horse for a simple girl to rise above it. They slammed the door on my whole world, the one thing I wanted.
Did you get a jump scare when she said your name?
She totally said my name, and I was like, "What?" Like, yes, I did. I did have a bit of a jump scare. This whole album had a lot of naming,
I know.
and she was just, had a list, checking it twice, and I was included. So thank you, Taylor.
It's so funny that there's an irony in her picking your name as like a basic white woman.
I mean, yeah. I mean, my parents picked my name out of the Bible, so I get it.
Taylor said, "What are the biblical names for women that are still around?"
Okay, now that you say that though, both Sarah and Hannah, not only are there common white women names, they're
Mhm.
both women in the Bible who are known for being barren. So both of
Yep.
these women were ridiculed by the people around them, by society, because they couldn't bear children, to the point where Sarah actually forced her husband, well, who knows, forced, but had her husband sleep with their slave woman, Hagar. We talked about Abraham last week, but Hagar to
Yes, we
sleep
did.
with her husband Abraham so that they could have Ishmael. Hannah ended up being so sad and crying at the temple praying that the priest Eli thought she was drunk and was like, go
Yep.
home. But
Yep.
she ended up having a child named Samuel, who also became a priest for that.
Yeah. So both these women had important male babies. Important male babies. LOL. But they
It's true.
um yeah, so I think it's funny that she picked these two figures. She made sure she said we're gonna start with the biblical imagery right away.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, I mean she even started like she just straight up tells us she opens up with the Western imagery of the I forget how the West was won. Um and for those who don't know, if you're listening, coming to us from a different country and you're listening to us, um so obviously we had the 13 colonies, but then America was like, we need to spread west.
Mm-hmm.
And they had this whole manifest destiny thing where they were kicking natives out of their homes, sending a lot of them to Oklahoma. It's a whole thing. But it is American mythos to say that it was cowboys who settled the West and that they were all rough and tough and shooting and on their high horses, just like having their gun on their hip,
Yep. Yep.
having shootouts and duels, when that's not true. The West was mainly one, and it was white cowboys, by the way, that they were envisioning, in case that wasn't clear. But the West was literally won by and settled by women, air conditioned, and indigenous Black and Mexican people.
Wait, women and then what?
Air conditioning.
Oh, air conditioning.
Literally, the West wasn't properly settled, so they figure out how they can not be boiling hot. But that's what really settled the West. But there's this whole myth of the white cowboy that is a huge thing in American culture.
Yeah. And so also like it's really propagated by Hollywood. Hollywood
Hmm.
really loved mythologizing, the vigilantes, the John Waynes, the sheriffs
Hmm.
and the cowboys, like you said, train robberies. I think there's actually a
Yeah,
movie called like How the West Was Won,
yeah. There's a
which
movie called How the West Was Won
and
as well.
that's a very big question in U.S. history today. Like, what exactly did it mean for the West to be won? And yeah, it was a time of just people kind of just trying to eke out a living in the middle of nowhere. Basically, everything out in the West was the middle of nowhere for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Um,
And when you think, well, Hannah, I'll ask you, what visually do you think when you think the West, like Old West is what they call it, you know?
yeah, when I think Old
When
West, I really do think of that. Um, Saloons with a man
yes,
playing like ragtime on the piano. I think of when I grew up, I watched a movie called Shanghai Noon, which had like Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson, and yeah, just the dusty roads and the wooden houses and people coming out with their like revolvers and
I
dueling each
picture that
other.
like one lane dust road that
Yeah.
has wooden places, like the wooden storefronts on all the
The other image
sides.
I get is The Little House on the Prairie. I don't know if you read those books by Laura Ingalls Wilder. So I never watched the TV shows, but very much like the covered wagons and
Yeah,
trying to, grow wheat. I don't know.
yeah, and people in settlements where they
Yeah.
had to keep the land for 5 years, and then they could work it. What is that? That one famous book that's about that? Oh my goodness.
There's pioneers. I don't
No,
know.
no, no, about the boy. It's titled after a
Oh,
boy. Uh,
I don't
what
know.
What is that book? And I think one of his tasks he had to do is paint a picket fence white.
Oh,
Um,
oh, Tom Sawyer.
yes, thank you.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I think Tom Sawyer. I think Yeah, just really dusty. I think people go to westerns because you have the person that's meant to uphold the law if you're on the side of the sheriff, and they're going against the like outlaws, they're keeping it all from happening. I think Dust Bowl, I think Bonnie and Clyde. Um, yeah. A lot of imagery. And Taylor evokes some of it. I also think Christian as well, like super Christian, white picket fence type.
Yeah. And the reason we're going so deep into this, guys, is we just want you to feel that Americana, like that sense of place so that you can see where she's writing about and what she's invoking. Because yeah, those communities were also, like you said, super religious. They tended to, people, even if you believed it or not, you would go to church on Sundays, right? Like you would,
Hmm.
that would be the
And they're real
center.
small towns.
Exactly, real small town. That's the center of your community where once a week you wouldn't work, and you could there would, I don't know, again going back to like the Little House on the Prairie, you would have like maybe a potluck, or there would be some kind of like um Sunday gathering or picnic or things like that where you would just hear and see everybody.
Hmm. So yeah, it's very apparent imagery, and I guess I'm apparent. Oh my gosh, that's not the word. Visual. It's very like visceral imagery. I can kind of like taste the sand in my mouth. Gross, the dust. Anyway, but I wanted. I'm also really harping on this because I'm like I know a lot of people who listen to us are not from America, so
Yeah.
maybe they're missing out on this. Um,
So we hope this was
yeah,
helpful.
yeah, yeah. So she starts off, she opens up the song with being like, I forget how it even happened. I forget how this like town, the West was one. Um, and she forgets if it was ever fun. Like she doesn't know why this used to be a fun thing that people wanted to do. Like it was a fun, like it was a whole thing where people were like, we can own our own land. Yes, that's gonna be fun. Um, and she goes, I just learned these people only raise you to cage you. They want to lock her up. She's like, "Oh, I thought it was fun being raised, but it's not." Um, and then again, she picked the two biblical names.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in their Sunday's best, and I guess also for people who don't know, it's a thing. It's a thing all over America. I don't know about like other places where you just, even if you are like the most blue collar worker, or even if you don't have a lot of money, you make a big deal about what you wear to church on Sunday.
Yep.
Uh, you're supposed to be nice. Sometimes Sunday best. I'm also getting the big church hats. And they probably also have fans.
And Taylor tells us
Yeah,
they have pearls. They're
yeah,
wearing their
they're
jewelry.
clutching them. Yeah, they have pearls. So I'm thinking these most uppity, like maybe they also have like white gloves. For those people, you guys should look up Kentucky Derby outfits
Yeah.
and think that. Kentucky Derby outfits is where you should think. So so the Sarah and Hannahs are clutching their pearls and they're just like, what a mess. So we have gossipy people. Um, and we have a lot of gossips in this album, actually.
Yes. So
There's a lot of gossip.
yeah, so to clutch your pearls is an idiom. So they literally could be grabbing at their pearl necklaces, but it also means to behave as if you're very shocked, or like you're like like very moral. You're like, it's has the connotation of being morally superior, like, and
Mhm.
you're looking down on the person who's causing you to clutch your pearls. And so, Taylor, I would never, just throwing it out there, I would never.
I mean, the next time you go to one of her concerts, you kind of need to dress in your Sunday best with big,
That would be so funny.
like
Uh,
you have to. There's levels to
Okay,
this.
fingers crossed somehow. The only way I'm going is if I'm winning tickets. So let's
Yeah.
hope that I win some tickets from somewhere. But
um,
but yeah, just
yeah.
and I just also want to throw out really quick. I forget how the West was won. I think the only other time I can think of her using the phrase like the West was in Peace. I love referencing Peace, like where
Yeah.
there's clowns to the east, or no, where there's robbers to the east, clowns to the west. So I just
Mhm.
wanted to throw that out there.
I like
Um,
that.
but yeah, and also I forgot how the West was won. I forgot if this was ever fun. For me, it's also like I forgot how I got here, like how this
Mhm.
happened, and I forgot if this life was fun because when she was younger, maybe it did seem fun, like conquering the world with her music, but then
Yeah.
she learned that, oh my gosh, like they raised me, like the whole Clara Bow thing. but just to then control me. I think we see that beginning of her realizing, like, oh, like, am I not a full person? Because they are just trying to quote unquote save me to,
Yeah.
put me on this one path that they think is right for me.
Yeah. But really, they're only doing that because they hate you and want to control you anyway.
Yeah, which is, again, a thread that's been running through her career, and we'll talk obviously more about later.
Yeah. And so the pre-chorus and chorus is too high a horse for a simple girl to rise above it. They slammed the door on my whole world, the one thing I wanted. Now I'm running with my dress unbuttoned, screaming, but daddy, I love him. I'm having his baby. No, I'm not, but you should see your faces. I'm telling him to floor it through the fences. No, I'm not coming to my senses. I know he's crazy, but he's the one I want.
Hello, Manic Taylor.
Yeah, it's literally giving the the
Yeah,
poem,
the
the
intimation
intimation
poem.
poem, where she goes, the pendulum swings. Oh, the chaos it brings leads the caged beast to do the most curious things. And she literally opens up the song by mentioning her cage and saying they hate her. Um, and then she opens up this pre-chorus with too high a horse. So a high horse is when someone thinks they're better than you and that they know more and they'll treat you more. So if someone's on their high horse, they're typically like snobby,
Hmm.
and think they know right.
Right. And a horse,
Yeah.
if you've never been next to a horse, like they are so tall. Like you're thinking
So
like a horse, oh, just like, hop, you cannot just hop on a horse. You got to climb something and then
yeah,
hop
you
on
got
a
to
horse.
climb it. So she's like, I can't even hop on this horse. I can't. She can't even. She can't hop on it, so she can't hop over it. And then she says they slammed the door on her whole world. So they locked her in the house,
Hmm.
um, and locked her away from the one thing she wanted. And she tells us what she wanted. Uh, she wants this man,
Yeah. And I,
or the man can be a stand-in for freedom. I don't think it matters what the man is. It's irrelevant.
Yeah, and I just think
Uh,
the humor in this song begins with "For a
yeah.
simple girl to rise above it," because like her calling herself simple already, I was like, oh, like that kind of piqued my interest. Like she's like, it can give both like this idea of like for just for like a natural, just a regular girl.
I'm just a girl.
Oh yeah, I'm just a
I'm
girl.
just a girl.
Yeah, like to just get over it, to rise above it, right? To ignore it, to not see it as a big deal. But which is funny because for any simple girl would just rise above it. They'd be like, "Oh, I guess it's not for me. I'll just move on." But the fact that she's kind of twisting and saying, "I'm not that simple of a girl. Like
Yeah.
I'm more
Also,
complex."
exactly. Or stupid.
Yeah, she's not stupid. Exactly. She's not stupid. She is like, because I'm not stupid, I can't rise above it, even though you think I'm dumb. That's what you think. You think I'm simple.
Yeah. And then the they could be also her dad, the Sarahs and Hannahs, all of them, the people who are clutching her pearls at her, the ones who raised her and hated her, regardless. They locked her in this house again. So now I'm running with my dress unbuttoned. And I don't think she means her dress is completely open. I think she just means like she's not buttoned up to the top as she should. She's not a proper lady.
Yep. Yeah.
Could have said she's running with her gloves off. It would have been the same thing. It wouldn't have sounded as good, but
Yeah. To me, it feels more like she was not necessarily. I mean, she could have been caught in a tryst, maybe.
yeah,
I could see that as well, but I do feel like it's more of this feeling of freedom of I don't have to be, wearing my shoes like all the way laced up, right? Like I imagine her like barefoot, the buttons
yeah.
like halfway up.
Think Rapunzel entangled when she first left the house.
Yeah,
She got
exactly.
she got down from her thing and she's just running around barefoot.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then to me, I mean, when I heard screaming, but daddy, I love him, I could see it in two ways. One is just her just like yelling it and just running out of the house. I could also see her dad chasing the dude with the shotgun.
I know.
Also, very Americana image. The shotgun wedding after the girl and boy are found in the haystack together.
And one of my favorite parts of the screaming, but daddy, I love him, I'm having his baby, is that she does not say, like, it's in the quotation marks, but daddy, I love him, I'm having his baby. Um, And then it's just no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Like it's so funny. Who fakes a pregnancy in a song? Who does?
It's so funny. It's uh one of the
And
highlights,
then
I
the
think.
best part. Oh no, go. What's the highlight for you?
No, that was the highlight of the album. Like one of the top 3 moments, I think, for me in my first listen.
And it also reminds me of Seven, where she's like, I used to scream ferociously anytime I wanted when she
Yeah.
was a child. Um, so she's like, I'm reverting. She's reverting. She's kicking and screaming. Look, I love him. And what I also have in my mind is the like there she's in their little wooden house and she's screaming at her parents, I love him, I'm pregnant, and then run into the car. And getting in the car and she tells him to floor it. Like
Yep.
he slams it and just go right through my parents' fences because I'm not gonna come to myself. I'm not gonna act normal. I know he's insane, but look, that's what I want.
Yeah, I love the imagery here. Floor uh you guys know I love a good alliteration. Like you should see your faces, floor it through the fences. Again, the fences can also be a symbol of breaking through, getting her autonomy, right? Creating her own boundaries, and not coming to my
Exactly.
senses. To me, I love the wordplay for that too because it's not, but I'm not coming back. We have that, like, that she's not
Yeah.
coming back, but she's also not coming to her senses, which, uh, how would you describe that? Coming to your senses is like going back to normal, like going from a manic phase
Yeah.
back to a more rational mindset. Like she's like, I'm not going to come back to what you think is quote unquote the right behavior. I'm not going to be a quote unquote good girl. I'm going
But
to,
in the sense like whatever you raised me
yeah.
to be, I'm not returning to that. Um and she knows the decision she made was crazy, but he's the one I want. Like if he is the decisions and her willpower is crazy to them, right? But that's what she wants.
Yep.
She wants to make her own choices.
Yeah. All right, let me read the next section. Dutiful
Yes.
daughter, all my plans were laid, tendrils tucked into a woven braid. Growing up precocious sometimes means not growing up at all. He was chaos, he was revelry, bedroom eyes like a remedy. Soon enough, the elders had convened down at the city hall. Stay away from her! The saboteurs protested too much. Lord knows the words we never heard. Just screeching tires and true love.
Yeah. Um,
I
you
love
know
this.
what's funny? The whole time I thought that was saying I thought she was saying just screeching tires of true love, and that's
Oh,
how I've been singing it,
I
which is
mean,
hilarious.
yeah,
Um, but no, I love this verse because she literally is saying like how she used to do whatever, and they laid out her plans for her. They braided her hair back because loose hair is for loose women, you know?
yeah. So if you don't know, the tendrils are talking about hair tendrils, and so back in the day, like if you had a single hair out of place, then that was like bad.
Yeah,
Gotta tuck it
that
all
meant
in.
you were a whore.
Yes.
You were a loose woman. But I love it. I love dutiful daughter. I love the sound of that. Just
Yes.
the D's gives it a nice rhythm. The D and the T, the dutiful daughter. I like that.
Yep.
Uh yeah, I just like the way that sounds. And it feels when you say it like behind your teeth. It's like a thud. Anyway, um so all her plans were laid out for her. So they gave everything for her. But also growing up precocious, and precocious is like a child who's wise beyond their years type thing. Or people say like you're wise for your age, you're old for your age. Like that's what a precocious child is. Um think how in some TV shows it's always the youngest daughter that is like telling everybody what to do and taking control of things. That's what that means. And it's not the only time Taylor references how she was a precocious child
Yep.
in the album.
Yeah.
Um,
And if you're
but she's like,
precocious, oftentimes you're
"Mhm."
treated differently. You're not allowed to grow up in the same way.
Yeah,
And
like
so,
adults look to you like you're an adult
mhm.
or like you know how to handle yourself.
And then
Um,
who comes in to disrupt their dutiful daughter? This
this man,
chaos, this revelry.
was fun. He was just probably violent. Chaos means he's causing up a stir. Bedroom eyes like a remedy. So the way he looked at her made her feel not. It didn't make her feel off balance. It made her feel like she was being saved. But I just had a thought, Hannah.
Yes.
Hannah, I just had a thought because of the bedroom eyes like a remedy. A feature of westerns is that you have a snake oil salesman that comes to town.
Yes. Explain that.
Okay, so snake oil salesman will come in and they'll be like, "Do you have a headache? You can't sleep. Oh, your foot is swollen. Your arm is bleeding. You lost a leg. If you buy this snake oil, it's gonna heal you."
Yeah. If you buy
But
my
the snake oil was
concoction,
all, yeah, exactly. But the snake oil was always like water or something. It was always
it was just,
fake.
or it was like
And
alcohol.
yeah, it was always fake. And typically they would sell this stuff and then skip town. So
Hmm.
there's a lot with bedroom eyes like a remedy. This snake oil salesman came in and she was like, he's gonna sell me something good, even though we all know that he's gonna skip town on her. Which wow, I just
I
gave myself chills.
I like that
Whoa.
a lot. And because we know from like the rest of this album, kind of like that this person who brought chaos and revelry
Mhm.
brought chaos and left it behind as well.
Yeah.
I also like this because it shows me like the bedroom eyes to me makes it seem like he was alluring her, but it doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean they were together. Right? He
Yeah.
was seducing her and was trying to make her fall in love with him, but that doesn't necessarily mean he was good in bed, which we also
Yeah.
have alluded to previously.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, he was. But I could, you could see that also in. Gosh, have you seen the or watched the musical Oklahoma?
Well, yes.
Okay, so
Yes,
like
I
in Oklahoma, like there's a side plot of like this guy
I was
who's
in it.
oh really? Okay,
Well, no, I did the costuming.
in choir I did like a bunch of like a medley of songs from Oklahoma, so we were required to watch it. But
Okay.
basically in that there's like a B plot where like the best friend of the girl, she's just
Mhm.
loves boys. She just cannot get
Yep.
over boys. And so at the end ends up with a man because he ends up flirting with her and then she just like pounces on him and then
Yep.
um and that's
Yep.
kind of this idea that I see too where it's all about just like getting seduced and then having the shotgun wedding like right after.
Yeah. And then, but the elders convene, so they all came together. Typically, the elders are the ones you listen to, and they get to the city hall, and it's like everybody in the town is like, "Hey, that snake oil salesman just rolled in. We don't like the look of him. He's causing a ruckus." Um, and they're like, "Oh, he needs to leave."
Yep.
And so they probably like grab her. The way I see the stay away from her is literally feels like they've grabbed this child who probably still has her braid in, but she's got maybe like a hair or two out of place, and like shove her behind them and slam the door on. Uh, and the
I just see a lot
saboteur
of white men just jabbing, stay away from her.
exactly, and then the saboteurs are people who sabotage.
Yeah.
They stop good things from happening. They're protesting. He needs to stay away from her. Um, but it was too late because he probably snuck in the back and got her in his car. So
Yep.
she's like, we didn't even hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
It's just the screeching tires of his car and the fact that we're in love with each other.
Yeah. So we go back to this car imagery. We had before we had the slamming it through the fence, flooring it through the
Hmm.
fence, and very reminiscent of Getaway Car, which she's written
Yes.
before too as, a vehicle for escaping with a relationship out of a bad situation. And yeah, there's nothing like a good getaway car, even in like American movies. Very Americana. Very,
Very American.
yeah, love that. Love
You
love
don't
that for
see
her.
them robbing banks in London. There's no fun.
No, it's really
No,
true. We have
it is. If you think about like London crime, the big thing that people think of when they think of like London is 007, right? That's sexy breaking and entering.
oh, I was gonna make a joke about the British Museum. They steal the stuff
They steal, that's also true. They just steal it. Um,
and put it on
even in all,
display.
yeah, they just take it. Why is that stuff there? Why do you have that? Give it back. Um, Anyway, so then we have the chorus again, and then we have one of my favorite parts, and I get to read it.
Yep.
I'll tell you something right now. I'd rather burn my whole life down than listen to one more second of all this bitching and moaning. I'll tell you one something about my good name. It's mine alone to disgrace. I don't cater to all these vipers dressed in empaths clothing.
She did not hold
I mean,
back.
she was pissed, even the way she sings it. She's like, it's like she's stomping her foot. Like we get this like return to childish thing. She's stomping her foot and like, listen to me right now. I'm gonna tell you, I will burn everything. I don't care. I don't care if my everything just falls to pieces, everything that you've given me. I'll throw it. I'd rather do all that than listen to y'all tell me what to do. Like, shut up. She said,
Hmm.
shut the hell up. Um, and then she continues. She's like, listen, my good name, like everything that I do, it doesn't matter. I'll tell you what, though, it belongs to me. Even if I mess it up, I should be allowed to make the choices to mess it up. And she's not going to cater to vipers or snakes dressed in like people who pretend to care about her
Yeah,
when really they
empaths.
just want to kill her.
Yeah, empaths are people who feel literally what you feel.
Yeah. And so, and this is a play on wolf in sheep's clothing, which is the idea that people who want to hurt you are going to dress up like they love you,
Hmm.
uh, like they're one of you, like they're also a sheep, but instead they want to eat you. So she for her to turn this and be like vipers in empath clothing, she's like they're trying to bite and poison me and poison what's good, and by pretending like they're just doing this for my sake.
Yeah.
And that's not true. They just want to bite me. They just want to bite me. And this is not the first time she's like, this is not even going to be the first time she uses the snake metaphor on this album. She uses it in TTPD as well. She uses snake imagery.
Yeah.
Um,
And I will say, vipers in particular, though, are a very biblical, like,
yep.
animal. Like, if you're going to see snake, a lot of times it's like viper is a very common one that they use with snake. So that continues as well. Yeah, I love this chorus so much. If you want to know in the clean version, it's all this fighting and moaning. But I think bitchin' is the correct one in this version. And we also get that autonomy thread back, which I think is so amazing to see her as a human who's allowed to make mistakes. I think a lot of the parasocialism that comes through some of the fan interactions with Taylor comes because you can't see her as human with the
Yep.
ability to make mistakes. And you should be able to, see them and criticize them if necessary, but she gets to make mistakes. Like, that's part of being human.
Like she gets it, she's allowed to make mistakes. And then she can write about said mistakes, but it's up to she can't do anything if you're going to, yeah.
Yeah, and you, as a human, you can't live if all you think about is this, what are people going to think about what I'm doing here? Like, you
Yeah.
can't live your life thinking that
Yeah.
I have to run my decisions through a million people. You just can't.
Yeah, and she's very angry on this whole second half of the song. She's mad. She's like she's run away, but she's mad now. Like
Yeah.
this is after the running away.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right, should I read the next part?
yes, yes.
God save the most judgmental creeps who say they want what's best for me, sanctimoniously performing soliloquies I'll never see, thinking it can change the beat of my heart when he touches me and counteract the chemistry and undo the destiny. You ain't gotta pray for me and my wild boy and all this wild joy. If all you want is gray for me, then it's just white noise, and it's just my choice.
I love this part too. Because first of all, how do you sing sanctimoniously performing soliloquies?
She just wants everyone to do really well on their SATs. That's all.
Yeah, yeah, no. But it opening up with God save, she's like, because they're saying these are the people that tried to save her, and they're like, God save her, God help her. And she's like, no, God save them.
Yep. She
Like,
opens up with a
save those
prayer,
that need to
really.
be. Yeah, she's praying. She's on her knees praying. And she does this on stage when she's performing
Mm-hmm.
this song. She gets down on her knees and she's like, help them, not me. Because and she's like, not help them because I feel for them, but help them because what they're doing is just, they're wasting their time.
Yeah, and
If they're going to get, yeah,
to me, when I think about these, townspeople. I think a lot about how Jesus had it out for all the Pharisees in the Bible. Like Jesus, the people Jesus hated the most in the Bible were actually the Pharisees, who are like the religious leaders, very
Yeah,
similar
he
to
couldn't
here.
stand them. They
He
thought
couldn't
they were
stand
better.
them because they were hypocrites. He's like, you
Yep.
say you know God and that you are helping God, but how come you aren't helping the poor? How come you aren't, XYZ? And
Say
he
you want what's best for them, but
exactly. And so for me, I think but she's calling out their bullshit the way that Jesus did. Not that she's
yeah,
Jesus, but you know what I mean. Like it's that
yeah,
same kind of like who are you to judge me when you yourself have a plank in your eye?
yeah. Let he who without sin cast the first stone.
Yep.
So sanctimonious means making a show of being more morally superior.
Yep.
So when she says sanctimoniously, she's like they're standing up pretending that they're on that high horse that she couldn't jump above and she couldn't measure up to. Um, they're on that high horse and they're performing these soliloquies. So these super long like speeches, like drawn out and dramatic. And she's like, help them because I will never see any of that. They're just talking
Yeah.
and they're performing because they think they can change, they can control what she does. And she says, change the beat of my heart when he touches me and counteract the chemistry. She's like, make all of that stop and undo how destined it is for me to do whatever I want. And she's like, but it's okay. They don't, she's like, you do not need to pray for me because I've got it. Don't worry about me.
Yep. No, the other reason I love the word soliloquies is that it's very famous in like Shakespearean plays. For example, Hamlet's "To Be or Not to Be" speech is a soliloquy, and soliloquies are literally performed just by the actor alone. They're not talking to anybody. They're talking just to the audience and giving their thoughts. So if you're ever performing, like she's saying, like they're performing for an audience that is not me. Like they're doing it for themselves. They're just again, like very much like the Pharisees of the Bible, just like praying for show and not for the person who's in trouble. And I love the if all you want is gray for me, like this life without chaos, without revelry, without color, then it's just white noise. I love that. Like, and white noise, if you don't know, is just like just like a repetitive background noise so that it kind of drowns
Yeah.
out the other bad things. That's why a lot of people
And
use white noise to go to sleep or on airplanes.
yeah, and I love the color she picks. She's like gray, but then white
Exactly.
noise. So she's like, oh, it's like if you just want me to be sad and only have dark, rainy days, then no, it's just
No.
white noise. It's my choice to not have that. Uh, and we get rainy day imagery also, like gray sky imagery all over the album as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and she's like, it's just my choice. So, if all you that's all you want from me, then no, no.
Oh, and going back a little bit,
She,
I forgot this part, but the whole
yeah.
thinking it can change the beat of my heart when he touches me. I love that kind of the continuation of the line. I forget what it is in poetry, but like thinking it could change the beat, as in like change the rhythm. But then it's not just
Mhm.
a regular
I
beat;
know.
it's the beat of my
Continues it.
of the heart. I'm like, oh, like that's
Yes.
so good. I love the building on it, and then
Yep.
obviously,
And then also, yeah. And then chemistry being like he touches her and makes her heart run. That's chemistry. Like it's all cool.
it's great. It's great. And
Ah,
then yeah, then the wild boy and the wild joy. And wild is like adds to the chaos and the revelry where it's uncontrollable, it's untamable. And it's fun for now. Later we're going to find out it's not fun. But
yep.
right now that's what she wants.
Yeah. So then we get the moment where she comes back because she's run away and she's come back. We
Hmm.
don't know how long she's been run away, but there's a lot of people in town that I bestow upon my fakest smiles. Scandal does funny things to pride, but brings lovers closer. We came back when the heat died down, went to my parents, and they came around. All the wine moms are holding out, but fuck them, it's over. So
I love this. The return.
I know she's returned. She's like, "What if I told you I'm back?" Anyway, she gets to town, and I imagine that when she gets to town, you still have the same people that like clutch their pearls when they look at her, and
Yep.
she's just grinning at
Yep.
them, and she's like baring her teeth at them, and she's like, "All that scandal I went through, it does funny things. Like it may hurt my pride or whatever, but I'm closer than ever with the person I wanted. So she's like, they're not even worried about me. They're not taking pictures about me no more.
Yep.
And if they do, a couple of them who are, well, it's over because I got my parents to go with me too.
Yeah, no, I think that's like a crazy like ending, and this uh goes back to like the love story connection, right? Where we have this Romeo and Juliet type situation where, if you don't know, Romeo and Juliet's a very famous Shakespearean play where two families are at war, but then the descendants of each family, a boy named Romeo, a girl named Juliet, fall in love and try to secretly get together. And there are consequences, but in Taylor Swift's
Yep.
version, it's got a very happy ending where the daddy does come around, right? He says, "Go pick out a white dress," and in this one too, you see that my parents they came around.
Hmm. I also love the dichotomy of my parents versus the wine moms.
Yeah, yeah,
She's like, look, as long as the only reason she came back to this town that she hates is to get her parents on her side.
yeah, yeah. She's like, these are the only people whose approval I need, and yeah, and she really says like, yeah, like the fact that you guys rejected me, I don't even care. I'm still with my boy, and it's wonderful, and we are closer than ever. But yeah, even though some people hold out, she doesn't really care.
Yeah. And then she flips the chorus. So this is how we know it's different. She goes,
Also, like in
now,
Love Story, flips the chorus.
yeah, she flips it. She goes, now I'm dancing in my dress in the sun. And even my daddy just loves him. I'm his lady. And oh my God, you should see your faces. Time, doesn't it give some perspective? And no, you can't come to the wedding. I know he's crazy, but he's the one I want.
Oh, Taylor.
Oh, Taylor. Oh, Taylor.
Yeah, yeah, so now we see we're out of the gray, we're in the sun. Like she's like it's over, the sun has come out. And she's wearing a dress, could be a wedding dress or some kind of
Mhm.
pre-rehearsal wedding dress.
Yeah, there's no
And
more gray.
what'd you say?
Oh, I was just saying there's no more gray.
Yeah.
I had a delayed response to you being like, the sun's out.
Yeah. And everyone still looks shocked. They can't believe this is the outcome, that they're
Yeah,
still together. People probably that, oh, they'll break off. Oh, they won't be together anymore. But no, they've driven back in his very loud car. They're
yep. And
together.
her dad loves this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she's like, but look at you. I know you still think it's hilarious. And the time doesn't it give some perspective is also the like, as the heat has died down, everybody's looking at things differently. And some people want to come to the wedding.
Yep.
And she's like, no, no, you don't get to change your mind.
Yeah.
Um,
She still has her boundaries. She's not like back to some kind of the who she was before. She's like, no, I'm this new person. I have this new life.
exactly. Exactly. And then the outro is just like, do you want to read the outro,
Yeah.
Hannah?
I'll tell you something right now. You ain't got to pray for me and my wild boy and all this wild joy. He was chaos, he was revelry. If all you want is gray for me, then it's just white noise and it's my choice. Screaming, but daddy, I love him. I'm having his baby. No, I'm not, but you should see your faces. But oh my God, you should see your faces.
He was fancy, he was revelry. Listen, I love this outro because it just is so happy. She's so pleased with herself that
Yeah.
she has completely claimed who she is.
Yeah,
Um,
and I want to point
and
out
she's
in the summation poem, she literally calls him chaos. You read it earlier. You see the pendulum swings. Oh, the chaos it brings. Like it's literally right there.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, no, I just love that part because she's like, look, all of this wild joy, it's mine. And and it's like she knows now that it's white noise. She doesn't need to like be kicking and screaming. Also, I just think it's so funny the way she immediately goes, no, I'm not, after saying I'm having his baby. She's like, absolutely not. I'm just kidding. I'm not. I'm not.
Let's just make it clear.
Let me make it clear one more time. I'm not having his baby.
So, I mean, speaking of the wild boy and the wild joy, I do think that this is one of those songs where we know who the muse is, right? We like, from the poem, we know who the muse is, and we know who kind of inspired this and the things that transpired. But at the same time, I love this song because it can help us to see how we view songs. Like, does it
Yes,
hold up in light of the muse? And what does it tell us also without the muse, just as the song on its
literally.
own?
Exactly. And then also, I listen to the song and I'm like, Happy Pride Month. That's
No, literally, I have seen TikToks where people who are have been rejected by their families because of the people they're loved, and then they're putting this song as like the background, and I'm like, yeah, like they don't need to come to the wedding. Like you're happy, I'm happy for you.
and I think it really is one of those songs where it's like once it shows how universal Taylor can be in her specificity because it can apply to anything. It can apply to anything. I've seen so many people who are like, yes, this makes sense. This applies to people who are like just literally it is a claiming of one's autonomy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because in the context of the album, it may mean something about a time in her life where she had a relationship where they floored it through the fences and said fuck 'em to the whole world, and whoever, wanted to talk about her. But at the same time, it's really about Taylor herself, like we've said throughout this series, about her being like, hey, like, am I allowed to be human? Am I allowed to make mistakes? Am I allowed to, fix my life in a way that I think works for me? And she's able to create a whole story around it, right? She wasn't actually in a Western town. She wasn't actually being driven around in some kind of, I don't know, I always picture like some kind of Ford Mustang or something.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that's why she can still go up and sing it on stage to this day, because now she's singing it as a song like, hey, like, this is a great song I wrote about
It's a
being
great
free.
song.
Yeah, and being able to find and then eventually being able to find the life and the lifestyle that I want that works for me and have the boundaries that I need to thrive and be happy.
Strong, healthy boundaries, even if it means you need to cuss people out.
Yeah,
Just shut up. You
yeah,
just need to tell them shut the hell up because I'm not listening.
yeah,
Like that's the whole thing.
yeah.
Shut up. You talk too much.
No, really, and yeah, I think, I mean, I have to say this has got to be one of her best songs, right?
Yeah. It's just so fun. It's so silly, goofy. Um, yeah, like it kind of is.
Is this the song that starts out the TTPD set?
Yes, I think it is.
Yeah, right, because she goes from this into So High School and then onto the Roomba. Any other thoughts about But
Um,
Daddy, I Love Him?
Other than I think it's hilarious and I needed to get a music video real bad. I need to see her vision for this song.
Yeah, I mean, I will say,
Yeah.
because it's a Western, I feel like I've already kind of pieced together some kind of
Oh
Western
yeah.
music video in my head.
Well,
Uh,
I have the same thing.
yeah, but I
She needs
think
to just let me direct.
she should let you direct it. That is correct.
She just, yeah, no. There's a lot. Oh, I'm so excited because next week's song is Fresh Out the Slammer, which is another Western influencing song.
Yeah.
Very big
Oh, this is a good
influence.
question. So when you
Yeah.
hear this song, But Daddy, I Love Him, what era of what time period do you think this song is taking place in? Because for me, most of the song could take place like in the 1800s, but then Wine Mom is the one lyric where or I guess not the 1800s, maybe like after cars were made, like 1900s. But then Wine Mom
Yeah.
is very clearly like present day. Like, how do you kind of see the time periods of But Daddy, I Love Him?
I still see it in like the 1900s, right when cars were invented, this buggy, whatever. Um, but the way I'm seeing it, like because we have wine moms that takes us out a little bit, and because we have like the screeching tires or whatever, sometimes I just see it as like I see it as literally this dramatic like girl who's like, this feels like I'm back in the 1900s and you're making me do this.
Oh, I
Sort of.
can see that.
So
Another
that's kind
way
of the vision in my head.
Another way I kind of deal with the wine mom is I feel like it's the same girl but reincarnated in different time periods, and it just
Yeah.
it keeps progressing forward. Right, because girls every
Oh, that's a
generation
good
has
song
this problem,
too.
right? Yeah,
Wait,
yeah, yeah.
wait. Yeah, that would be a really good music video now that I think about it. Like the same person, but she's in like it happened in the 1800s, in the 1900s, blah 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 blah.
And then it's Taylor on
All
stage.
within- You look like Taylor Swift. It's a Clara Bow connection.
Yeah, yeah. I,
No, I don't have other to say about that other than this is where we get the beginning of we quite literally we get the beginning of the self implosion. So she's literally imploding, like this is yelling out like throwing things at people to be like, I'm just gonna run. We're flooring, we're breaking, we're causing property damage because she's like, how low do you think I'd go before I self imploded? And so we're at the start of our self implosion arc
yeah, that's a
with
good
Daddy.
point. We're in the manic stage, we're in the freedom stage, but there are already going to be consequences. There are going to be things that are broken, maybe even, destroyed, obliterated. And in the beginning it seems fun and funny, right? Like flooring into the fences like is funny. But later it will not be funny.
Oh my gosh. The wind is shaking my house. This is nuts.
Please be safe.
Yeah, no, it will not be funny. She'll have nothing to smile about.
Yeah, because
Literally, the next song, she has nothing to smile about. I think it's really funny that Taylor book ends, but Daddy I Love Him with two songs that make me absolutely hysterical.
yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, Fresh Out the Slammer I think is like that, but we don't actually see, like, she doesn't know the hurricane she's about to drive into. Like,
Yeah,
she thinks it's fine.
yeah.
And then we'll have Florida, Guilty of Sin, and Who's Afraid of Little Old Me, and then I Can Fix Him. Yeah, we're about to, we're like in that, the whirlpool is beginning. Like, you don't know you're like caught in the riptide or something, but like she's at the edge of the riptide in But Daddy, I Love Him.
Yeah. Also, I think with Daddy I Love Him is the only song where we don't get like violence, death violence. Like, I think it's maybe the only song where this doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think it's just property damage mostly.
Yeah.
But and I think that's again a reason why this song can also be so fun, even out of context of the muse. It's just a fun song about freedom.
And she's cussing people out.
Yes,
That's
yeah, but then
it's
yeah,
literally grown fearless.
yeah, Grown Fearless is really good.
That,
But yeah, after that, there's gonna be a lot. Yeah, death imagery will
yeah. Oh my
very shortly
gosh.
return.
We're about to go on a run of songs. But Daddy I Love Him was a nice break because hello, these next songs, Fresh Out the Slammer makes me weep.
So yes, please
So
be ready for the weeping exquisite coming up. And yeah, we hope you
yeah.
enjoyed this slightly shorter, a little lighter episode before we.
It's something light because we just did something super heavy
I know. If you need
last week.
heavy, just go back and listen to So Long
Go back
Winded.
and try to that one. That's
Um,
one of my favorite episodes we've done.
yeah, yeah, no, for real. Okay, so what emoji should we do for this week?
We should do tomatoes, Hannah, because she's literally throwing tomatoes at us.
Oh my god. Okay, okay. It's gonna look like they're throwing tomatoes at us now, but yes. Okay, so if you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening, and please send us a tomato emoji. No pressure, but and as always, please tag us with your thoughts at Taylor Seminars or hashtag TTPD Seminars. Exquisite and I, we literally send each other every single tweet we find where you guys comment about the episodes. It makes
It
us
just
really happy.
makes us feel all like warm and cozy.
Yeah, it brings us wild joy. How about that?
It literally brings us wild joys. All right. So I mean, goodbye from this exquisite and that Hannah. It doesn't have the same ring as Sarah and Hannah, but it
That'd be so funny. Yes, for me clutching my pearls. We will see you
should be
guys.
clutching your pearls if you don't comment.
I will. I will be clutching my pearls if you do not comment. So please do so, and we'll be back soon with fresh out the slammer.
Yeah.
Bye.